Hey guys, welcome to the Capital Raising Show. I'm Nate Dodson here talking to really an amazing member, has really been successful with running the Investor Traction Academy system. But beyond that, just really a good guy to know. And that's a big part of why he is really quite very successful. Marv McGuire. Do you prefer Marv or Marvin?
Marv. My son is Marvin, so
I like that. Plus, it creates a little bit more connection there. But it's funny that you got the nickname and your son is not just the second or the third or junior.
he's the fifth.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm the fourth and he's the fifth, so we've got a long legacy here.
That is a long line of Marvs. So were you Marv the fourth?
I am Marv the fourth for
I
sure.
love it. Well, not to completely digress, could you share a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. Well, I served 25 years in the United States Navy, retired and went into corporate America in 2013, and spent the next 10 years in IT sales. But I got real far ahead of myself. So married to the same wonderful woman, Victoria, for 32 years.
Congrats.
Got four grown children: a 30-year-old son named Marvin, a 28-year-old son named Tanner, 23-year-old daughter named Sophia, and a 21-year-old daughter named Chloe, who are all just the light of our lives.
Love it.
And live here in the Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg area. And like I was saying, in the Navy, went into corporate America. And after about 10 years in corporate America, over that period, my wife and I had collected, I say intentional landlord, about 6 single family properties
Okay.
that we were self managing around the Southeast. And I tell people in the summer of 22, in about a 4-month period, we had a major leak in one property. We had to replace a roof on one property, and we had a tenant move out in the middle of the night after doing about $15,000 worth of damage. And it wiped out the cash flow of that portfolio for about 24 months.
Ouch.
And I'd hauled a lot of refrigerators around in the back of my truck, and bought a lot of washers and dryers off of Facebook Marketplace. And I just got so frustrated. I said, "There's just got to be a better way." And we decided to look into get into commercial real estate, and we looked at office, we looked at retail, we looked at franchises, we looked at a little bit of everything. And my wife was a residential real estate agent and has been for over 20 years, so we've always understood the value of real estate.
Like,
And we decided, hey, we understand tenants and leases and evictions and renovations, and so it just really made sense for us to get into the multifamily asset class. And so we started in 23, and in 23 we have since 23, early 23, we're in 800 doors now.
congrats. That's
We are
huge.
wrap Yeah, it's been a wild ride. So, and we're just approaching $10 million raised in the last, call it 2.5 years.
That is phenomenal. Great job and congrats with that. Now, I know we're in 2025 and the multifamily, there's a lot of pivots going on. And I know you've been focused lately on assisted living. Could you share a little bit about what you're really targeting and why you like where you're going?
Great. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, we've been really focused on the multifamily, and it's been super, but it's been tough. It's been really tough, with interest rates, and it's very, very competitive. And a lot of our investors are like, hey, they're comfortable with us after about 24 months. And now they're like, hey, you're always talking about diversification. So we're getting some questions, and everybody knows, you can't turn on the TV these days without hearing, hey, silver tsunami, or, I forget how many tens of thousands of people will reach 65 in the next several years, and it just grows every day. So we started looking at assisted living and senior living facility deals here in Florida, particularly because as longtime Florida residents, we know what the population of retirees here is. And
You
so,
talk about silver tsunami. You literally live on the silver tsunami beach.
exactly, that's exactly right. So we understand the phenomenon probably better than a lot of folks in commercial real estate, being just where by the fact of where we live. And so we've started branching out to that. We're actually raising on an assisted living facility deal right now, with facilities, 4 facilities over the Central Florida area, and we're super excited
Nice.
about it.
Absolutely love it. So, assisted living centers, they can come in all different types of deal forms, like the ground up to stabilize, buying a larger complex, doing the residential home assisted living. Which direction did you end up going?
Well, we are doing, it's a great question because really there are, in the senior living facility space, there's kind of 3 categories. There's independent living, which is just that, you have a facility and you don't provide a lot of medical. It's just, hey, there's seniors living in this facility, kind of doing their own thing, really for the community, because that helps a lot when you get to a certain age. And then there's the assisted, senior living, which is you have, nurses that are qualified to perform some medical procedures in that, in that facility. And then you have kind of the next level, which is called memory care. And memory care is when one of these facilities is really qualified to handle residents that have dementia and Alzheimer's and things like that. And so there's infrastructure requirements for the facility memory care facilities, and there's also different training and certification requirements for that level of care. So
Oh, yeah.
we're doing, right now the deal that we're raising on is we're buying an assisted living facility portfolio, and we're actually transitioning all of the facilities into memory care because there's a severe shortage of memory care units in Florida, like incredible, like 500,000 units, and
Wow.
the difference in rent between the two assisted living facility, like the average market rent of an assisted living facility, vanilla, is about 4,000 to 4,200, and the average memory care rent in Central Florida is about $6,200.
It's quite a difference. But I know you also have different regulations, different requirements, different staffing. Is it just really running the numbers? You were in corporate America, looking at the Excel and says, this is the right direction to go? Or was it more of a demand analysis? How'd you end up with the deals you're looking at?
Well, it's a little bit of both. We've got great partners that focus entirely on the assisted living asset class. So they were looking to expand into Florida and reached out to us whenever they found this deal and really asked us to review not only the facilities but the documents. And I have an unfair advantage as a capital raiser in that my wife is a very, very well versed and talented commercial underwriter. So, we got a deal brought to
Oh,
us.
y'all are just cheating.
I know. Well, I feel like it sometimes because I give it to Victoria and say, "Hey, honey, is this a deal?" And she does her magic on it and says, "This is a great deal," or she says, "No, it's a shiny object. Don't chase that." So yeah, that's kind of how we run our business.
I love it. Well, I'll be to overshare myself. My lovely wife is also an attorney, and we've worked together in the same office about 15 years now, and wouldn't have it any other way, except for she does divorces.
Oh, you're in trouble, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I
Hope not.
also, my focus has always been on money, whether it's protecting it, making more of it, whatever. So, but we've always had a really good understanding. If we ever got divorced, she's going to win everything. But I know how to hide money, so she's got to find it first.
Yeah, you may win, but I'm going to make it tough on you.
And that's how attorneys that are married, that work together and have somehow made it last for over 20 years ourselves. Yeah, you got to have fun with it. And congrats
Yeah,
working with
you
your
got to have a
wife.
sense of humor. Yeah, if you don't have a sense of humor, you really don't have much. You got to be able to have fun.
There you go. Now, I know that you make analogies. It's just kind of and comparables, and that's how you both find properties, look at an analysis of deals, and to help people just understand. And so I'm specifically going to ask you, because so many people understand and know multifamily, but don't know or understand assisted living. But you ask me, there's a lot of very similar attributes to the two and some massive regulatory differences. But could you speak a little bit to, hey, if you've been investing in multifamily, why is it just a natural transition for the higher cap rates and the other reasons why assisted living has been the place to be? But how would you help somebody just kind of understand why here's the direction of now?
Certainly, certainly. Well, I would tell new investors or anybody interested in the assisted living facility asset class is that they're very, very similar. The two major differences, obviously, the similarities are you have rooms and you're renting those out to tenants or residents in the assisted living space, uh, and charging a fee. The differences, there's really two significant differences, and the two significant differences are exactly what you picked up on, are the increased compliance and certification requirements. And the other difference is, we can hire a property manager, or we either can manage a multifamily apartment complex. My wife and I are both, very capable of doing that, or we can hire a property management firm and manage them. On the assisted living facility side, these are specialized, medically, certified assisted living facility operators, and that's what they do. So if we didn't have an assisted living facility operator, my wife or our partners or myself, I couldn't manage the assisted living facility. I don't know the compliance, I don't know the medical regulations, I don't know the staff certification requirements, and it would take a great deal of time for me to learn those, and I couldn't get certified even if I knew them. That's a long process to become certified in running these type of facilities.
And if I could just jump in there by agreeing with you, I've never done an assisted living deal that there wasn't a professional assisted living center focused management company. Nowadays, most of the multifamily syndicators, they'll still use a management company. This one is almost more like don't DIY. You just have to hire them every single time. So it's just baked into it that great, you got a management company to help you with the project, but you still have to manage them as well.
100%. 100%. You have to have somebody that is experienced in that space. And the way that we make sure, and I always, and I'm a big believer in that incentives matter. I mean, incentives matter, and you're going to get the behavior that you incentivize. And so what we do, instead of just, saying, hey, come manage our property and we'll pay you a 10% fee or a 5% fee or whatever the going rate is in that market, we give our operator equity in the deal,
Okay.
so they are immediately, incentivized. Not only they're going to get paid for their daily work, but hey, they're incentivized long term to make this as efficient and effective and as profitable as possible, because we hold our deals for 5 to 7 years, and at 5 to 7 years, with equity in the deal, they stand to really make a good profit. So I think that's really, really a key differentiator that we do for our deals.
Let me just kind of explain the way I've seen every one of these deals move forward. If you've got some comments and more to add to it, please do. But this is more just for people to understand, again, the differences between multifamily or just a real estate deal and assisted living. And if you haven't heard loud and clear, management, compliance, and regulations is a much bigger part of assisted living compared to multifamily. But you have a business that is operating way more than just having a leasing center. So most of the time, you're going to acquire an assisted living home. We talk about how many beds there are. And there's generally two different acquisitions that are happening, or at least how it ends up getting structured. You're buying the business that's on real estate. The ownership of the deal will be one LLC owns the business, another owns the real estate. And you're doing this so you can separate the liability and the risk, because there's high liability and risk on the business side, low on the real estate side. If there were ever a problem with that management company, it's not you, it's the management company, but you can and will be held responsible if they make a mistake. Well, you may have to bankrupt or implode that business. I'm not saying it horribly, but you still have the real estate. So there are some protections, and I hate to say security, but you actually still have that ownership of the real estate regardless of how the business goes. It looked like you had something to add, please.
That's exactly how we're structuring Ideal, because I mean that is spot on. It gives you kind of multi layers of like you said, security, protection, what have you. And I love the way you broke it up into it's two different acquisitions. You're really buying that business because these facilities have employees, they have maintenance workers, they have, and now granted, a multifamily has a property manager and maintenance people, but those are typically employees that the property management company pays. This is a business that you're buying with nurses and caregivers and cooks and activity directors, maintenance people, that you, like you said, you just structure it as a business, and then you've got the real estate piece of it. So I loved how you structured that.
Well, thank you. And something that you also said that I picked up on and wanted to talk about that for a moment is you're acquiring these assisted living centers with the intention of converting them to memory care. And memory care comparables, you're getting about 50% more in rent, which can make a huge difference. But what I really caught is if you've been in multifamily, you have bought the C class apartments and tried to push them to a B plus so you can get more rent. You're spending CapEx, you're raising capital, spend money on it to, again, improve it to get it to that B class property worth more, higher rent. That's exactly what Marvin's talking about with these acquisitions of once you convert from just a regular assisted living, now just converting to the memory care, you're getting a 50% bump on the rents. It's kind of the same concept there that has worked successfully forever, but just applying it to assisted living.
It certainly is. That's why we love it, because it is. We're not recreating the wheel. We're not creating a new asset class. We're not creating a new syndication model. It is very, very similar. It's just using the same principles in a different asset class. So if you understand the basics and you've invested in a multifamily deal, it's not a real big stress or stretch per se to move into a different asset class. It can be even more, the returns can be even more lucrative.
I love it. So, kind of what's in vogue right now are people running around doing these fund to fund deals where you can start your own funds, raise some capital, and invest into other people's syndications. Are you open to working with some joint venture partners, or if somebody wants to invest with you through their own fund of funds, is that something that you'd be open to considering?
Yeah, we're definitely open to considering, partnering with folks that run their fund to fund for sure.
I love it. If somebody was interested in, like, you're already ahead of the game in doing these, and the ability to work with somebody that has the experience, that it already has the partners and the pros that have that prior performance to talk about and build your own authority. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best contact?
The best contact to reach me is just probably via email, and it's just Marv, like Marvin, MARV, at HCP, like Hotel Charlie Paul, investing.com. So Marv at hcpinvesting.com.
Love it. And before we jump, you've been running the Investor Attraction Academy program for a good while. And I always get the question of, does it work? Can you talk a little bit about kind of just your experience and outcomes and how things have been coming together for you?
Oh man, well, I will. I'm going to make you happy because for me, it's changed my life. I mean, it has changed. I joined in early 24 and really had kind of tapped out all my family and friends, was really struggling to fill the funnel. Hey, I got to get some new investors. I had a New Year's resolution to add 50 accredited investors to my CRM in 24. And now looking back, I was like, man, talking about aiming way too low. So I went out to Raise Masters, our Raise Fest in February, Hunter Thompson's deal, and it just really didn't resonate with me at all. And I was looking for an alternative, and I came across a gentleman that said, "Hey, have you checked out the Investor Attraction Academy?" So I hadn't, and so I got on the phone with the team and really investigated and really sounded good. The systems and all that the academy kind of offers. So I signed up last March. I kind of launched all my systems and started the process in early May. And between May and December 31st, I added 278 accredited investors to my database. And last year, I raised $2.5 million off of LinkedIn. So to say that it worked for me, and the systems and the templates and the automations and the greenfield lead magnets. I mean, I can't say enough about it. It worked for me, multitudes.
Well, I think that is where we got to end it right there. Because no, you see, I am glowing back here. Yeah, I'm probably turning into kind of tomato red at this point. Thank you for the glowing endorsement. Really appreciate that.
Of course. Well, it's the truth. I mean, it works. It works. It's worked for me. It's not without work. You still got to work. It's not automatic, but it's given me the tools to use, and they work.
Love it. Well, for everybody that has made it this far, hey, thank you so much for joining today, taking a few minutes to learn more about Marv and kind of everybody's trying to figure out what the next pivot is. He's ahead of the curve. The assisted living center, memory care, that universe is still pretty untouched. So get in there, get thinking about it, and get some deals going. So thanks, everybody.